Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and this evening we'll have a look at the latest from the various computer models for the longer range forecast, but we will also have a look at the possibility of some very heavy rain overnight tonight into tomorrow, and there has been a yellow warning put in force for potentially very heavy disruptive rain, and there's a potential for some thundery downpours as well within the larger area of rain. We've been watching this sort of pattern over the last few days, potentially like sort of eyeing out tonight into tomorrow as the chance we're seeing some very widespread heavy rain. And it does like it's coming to fruition now within the shorter range models, and it does look like there could be some disruption tomorrow. So if you do have a look at the latest radar, you can see at the moment many areas are actually quite dry. Most of Scotland, northern England, many central areas and eastern areas are very dry. Across Ireland we have some heavy showers moving in as we have low pressure trying to push in. We also have some very heavy rain pushing into the far southwest, into southern Wales, and this is the beginning of the weather front that's going to be giving some disruption over the next 24 hours. It's going to be pushing slowly northwards and eastwards, and eventually we could be seeing the heaviest rain in sort of central and eastern areas, as we could potentially see some warmer air sort of mix in, and that could give it a bit of a thundery element. So we do have a look at the weather warnings. You can see we do have a yellow warning for rain across much of the Midlands into the northeast, parts of East Anglia, and central southern England around Oxfordshire and a bit of London as well. If we do have a look, whilst many will see a wet day on Tuesday, there's the chance of some very heavy rainfall for some, leading to disruption. So there is going to be a lot of heavy rain around. If you're outside of the yellow warning, you will likely still see some very heavy rain. It's really, though, within this yellow warning is the potential for seeing some particularly heavy and potentially thundery rain from 6 a.m. till midnight tomorrow, and we could be seeing some big disruption with that. If we have a look at the further details, you can see an area of rain is expected to move northeastwards across much of England on Tuesday, with thunder in places. 15 to 25 millimetres is likely quite widely, with up to 40 millimetres in a few places, leading some flooding and disruption. However, there is a small chance this rain will be especially intense in a few places, with 50 to 70 millimetres possible and more significant disruption. The rain will slowly clear northeastward during the day, perhaps lasting to the night across parts of Lincolnshire and Yorkshire. You can see again high impact, low likelihood. So again, not all areas in the yellow warning will see extremely heavy and thundery rain. Only some will, and it does look like though, if you are in the yellow warning, you will be, regardless of whether it's disruptive, we'll be still seeing some very heavy rain, making it going to be a pretty miserable day tomorrow. Hopefully, though, it does clear through a bit quicker than we're seeing at the moment. But again, can't guarantee anything. And it does look like if you've got any plans tomorrow outdoors, it might be a bit of a write-off at the moment. So if we do have a look at the short range models at the precipitation over the coming hours, if we do first have a look at the ARPEGE, you can see the heavy rain over sort of this evening, making its way through Wales, the initial parts of the weather fronts, and then we see the heavier rain push through tomorrow morning to many central and eastern parts, and you can see it does sort of pick up throughout the day. It does spread eastwards quite quickly, and the heaviest rain is towards East Anglia on this latest of ARPEGE run. So we'll have to see how that does compare to the other models. So this is a bit further eastward, so potentially meaning the eastern half of the warning zone is likely to see the heaviest rain. But it does clear away, and again, by Wednesday we see a few showers in the west, but generally nothing too bad. And then once again, some more showers before it does look like weather fronts will be moving back in through Thursday and Friday. If we do have a look at the icons, see how that does compare. You can see at the moment the heavy rain pushing into the far southwest. And as that moves northwards, you can see some really quite heavy rain across central, eastern areas, with the potential some significant torrential downpours, with the potential the potential for thunder within that as well. And that does move through, sort of peaking around sort of midday to 3 p.m. So sort of peak of the afternoon, around so from lunchtime till around early afternoon into sort of early evening. It does look like that's when we're going to see the heaviest rain on this latest icon. It does clear overnight, and we could see some lingering rain here or there, and then through Wednesday just showers in the west, and then generally more showers before weather fronts do move through once again on Friday into Saturday. If we have a look at the latest UKMO run, so UKMS Office run, so it is the official UK Met Office data, so it should be sort of give us a good indication on why they have issued the warning they have. And it probably is the main model they have based their warning off. So you can see heavy rain pushing through the southwest at the moment, and it does move slowly northeastwards, and then we see that heavy rain pick up through tomorrow afternoon, really torrential across Lincolnshire to the northeast, and then again potential for some quite significant rain, and it does clear through generally for many areas in central and southern England, sort of by sort of 4 p.m, only lingering in East Anglia and in towards sort of northeastern areas, potentially part of the North Midlands as well into the afternoon. So it does clear through quite quickly potentially. So we could still see a couple good hours in the afternoon, especially towards sort of London, central southern England, even around sort of Birmingham, the Midlands as well. But towards the northeast, it does look like it will linger. As we head through the evening, you can see still a bit of rain around, and then just some more showers in the west through Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday we see weather fronts pushing through the country, bringing rain once again for all. If we also do have a look at the temperatures on the UKMO Run, just give us an idea of what we could be seeing. This afternoon temperatures were pretty decent, really. Got up to around sort of 18-19 degrees in the far southeast, which is not too bad, really, for September. Where we've had rain, though, it's been pretty miserable, around 16, maybe 15 degrees. As we head through to Tuesday, you can see temperatures picking up once again in the far south, potentially 20 degrees, but where we have that heavy rain across its Midlands into northern England, maybe only 16, 17 degrees, maybe even cooler than that, and it will definitely be feeling colder than that under the heavy rain. Through Wednesday, we could see some decent temperatures in central areas, potentially 20, 21 degrees here or there. And then by Thursday, we could be seeing temperatures once again get a bit higher, maybe 22, 23, maybe 24 degrees, with the potential of once again seeing some decent sort of September weather. However, by Friday, you can slowly see eastern areas are still a bit warmer, but western areas are cooling down as we have weather fronts moving through. And by sort of early Saturday, you can see things are looking a lot cooler for all. So we'll have to keep an eye on what happens with the rain and the temperatures towards the end of the week. But at this stage, it's looking like we're going to be seeing things definitely cool down from the west and potentially be turning a lot sort of more unsettled, with that heavy rain potentially moving in towards sort of latest working week into the weekend. So if we now go through the latest from the computer models, if we do have a look at the GFS, you can see at the moment low pressure pushing in from the far southeast. It's a small trough, but it's still going to give us that heavy rain tomorrow. Then we do see a brief ridge of high pressure before weather fronts pushing back through. You can see that low pressure that does give the heavier rain towards Friday and Saturday. It is very much coming into that block we have to the east. So it does. It's still a bit up in the air how far inland and how far eastwards that weather front is going to come and how heavy it is, as it could fizzle out in the west. But we'll have to see that near the time. And then we again have repeated batches of heavy rain and low pressure trying to push in off the Atlantic, but at the same time got high pressure to our east, this battleground scenario. And it does look at times the low pressure will win out, especially in the west and the north. For the far south and the east, we could see some decent weather at times with high pressure moving in. And then right towards the end of the run, you can see low pressure taking control. And it does look like it's going to be going pretty unsettled. And you can even see potential for another ex-hurricane sort of joining up into the jet stream right towards the end of the run, and again giving that an extra boost for those westerly winds to move in. So still, even though we do have that battleground scenario, it does look like low pressure will eventually win out in the longer term, but it still is subject to a bit of change, so we'll have to keep an eye on how it does develop. If we do have a look at the GM, see how that does compare, you can see at the moment, again, low pressure moving in, and then we have that battleground scenario with low pressure out in the Atlantic, high pressure to our east. Does look like low pressure does win out towards day 10 with a low sliding in from northwest to southeast, and that'll be turning many areas quite unsettled. High pressure does build in behind it, but it would still be pretty miserable there with a lot of heavy rain and showers in the south. We do have that trough. And again, it does look like there is low pressure waiting just to the south of Greenland, ready to put pressure back on this high pressure. So it doesn't look like any high pressure, sustained warm and dry weather is likely for the foreseeable future. If we do finally for the longer range models, have a look at the ECMWF, you can see again battleground scenario with low pressure trying to push in against the high pressure, and by day 10 it is trying to win out. Hasn't completely won out. You can see the high pressure is still trying to push it away, but with this big area of low pressure, it does look pretty likely that we're going to be pulling in pretty cool westerly winds. You can see some quite cold air is fueling, is being put into this low pressure as fuel. You can see very cold air, -10 isotherms coming into the backside of this low pressure, and then 10-degree isotherms being put into the sort of the south and the eastern side, and that is spinning this low pressure up, and that's why it's so got so much strength and it's so deep and is likely to push the high pressure away and turn things unsettled. So all the models in the longer range, sort of 7 to 10 days, are allowing the low pressure to try and move through the country, and it is looking like that is not going to be particularly settled over the coming weeks. Could still be some decent days here or there in the south and the east especially, but for most areas there will be quite a few days of rain and showers, and quite a few weather fronts moving through in from the west. If we do finally have a look at the UK Met, not the UK Met Office, the GFS Ensembles, we've had a look at the UK Met Office run already. You can see the heavy rain over tomorrow with some big precipitation spikes. Again, quite variable with the ensembles, and it all depends on how the rain does pep up, sort of the convective nature of it, and whether we do see any embedded sort of thundery sort of downpours sort of build in within it. But you can see temperatures are on the up tomorrow as that warmer area is fueling the heavier rain tomorrow. And then we sort of begin to see a bit of an up and down pattern, which is pretty typical with westerly winds bringing in cooler and warmer sectors. You can see there isn't any massive deluges for the next sort of 4, 5, 6 days. There is a few precipitation spikes, and that's probably likely. That is likely because the high pressure is pushing the weather fronts away, sort of stalling them and weakening them. So it could be, especially for the east and the south, could be a scenario where we see a lot of cloud, up and down temperatures, and some lighter, drizzly rain at times with the weather fronts decaying away. You can see in the longer term, generally temperatures are around to above average, which is typical for a westerly wind. A lot of up and downs, so colder and warmer sectors moving through, and it does look very unsettled in the longer term. If we do have a look at the mean sea level pressure, you can see generally things are around sort of mean pressure to below sort of that sort of mean threshold, sort of in between high and low pressure. So it's looking like generally it's going to be lower pressure in control. You can see at the moment low pressure moving through at the moment. Then we see a bit of a higher pressure spike in about 5, 6, 7 days time in between low pressure systems as the high pressure try and pushes back in. But you can see right in the longer term we've got a lot of ensemble members getting down to 1,010, 1,000 HPA, which is going to be lower pressure, bringing in the heavy rain in from the west and the potential for some stronger winds and widespread showers and cloudiness as well. If we just have a shift further northwards to Glasgow, just to see how it does compare, you can see, if we have a look at the 6Z run, you can see generally things are lower pressure. We've got sort of higher pressure at the moment, as of course northward is a little bit dry at the moment. Then we see a bit of a spike to lower pressure. Higher pressure tries to build in from the far east, but then generally things are lower pressure, and you can see some very deep lows on some of the ensembles, and we have to keep an eye on if those do get sort of whipped up by the jet stream, and it does generally look unsettled in the longer term. Still some high pressure ensembles, of course, as we do have high pressure close by to our east, but it doesn't look like on the majority of the ensembles and the operational runs that it's going to be winning out anytime soon. If we look at the 850 HP temperature and precipitation, you can see generally temperatures are around or above average. You see we've got big deluge coming in towards sort of Friday, Saturday, and you can see for London very small spikes there. So that's symbolic of in the north and west the weather front's still having a lot of juice in from the Atlantic, giving some very heavy rain, but as they progress eastwards and southwards, as they come up against the high pressure, they lose a lot of their intensity, and that's why it's only sort of lighter rain in the south and the east. And it's all going to be depending on how these weather fronts fizzle out. So it's very difficult to forecast exact rainfall amounts at this stage, but it still does look like pretty unsettled for all areas. In the longer term, above average temperatures and a lot of precipitation spikes, so low pressure westerly winds are likely to prevail. So it does look like a very unsettled period is coming up over the coming weeks. It won't be unsettled every single day, but it doesn't look like it's going to be sustained dry and warm for the foreseeable future. Definitely favoured weather in the south and the east, but you can see by tomorrow, Midlands and eastern areas are going to be seeing some very, very heavy rain, and do keep an eye and adjust your plans if you are in the warning zone. So anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.